Have you ever been drifting off, everything is quiet, perfectly peaceful, and then out of nowhere, your entire body slams awake like you just missed a step on a staircase? Well, welcome to the club. In this explainer, we're going to look into the genuinely bizarre biology of our sleeping brains. We are going to explore the weird, wild, and sometimes straight-up terrifying glitches that happen to us every single night when our consciousness powers down.
When these sudden jolts, strange noises, or terrifying visions hit us, it's so easy to panic and ask, okay, is there something wrong with my brain? I want to reassure you right out of the gate, these terrifying or annoying anomalies aren't signs of damage. As we'll see, they're really just harmless evolutionary leftovers or temporary chemical misfires. Our brain is this highly complex machine, and honestly, sometimes the transition between being awake and being asleep just gets a little messy.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to take a chronological journey through a single night's sleep. We'll start with entering the sleep zone, dive down into deep sleep disturbances, move our way back up into the dream realm, and finally, look at waking up glitchy.
So, Section 1. Entering the sleep zone, the shutdown misfires. Let's start right at the threshold of sleep, right where the brain starts powering down and making its very first, very noticeable mistakes.
That feeling of your whole body slamming awake? That is called a hypnic jerk, and an astonishing 70% of people experience them. It is incredibly common. So here's what's actually happening. As you fall asleep, your muscles begin to relax, but your brain, which is also powering down, sometimes misreads that sudden loss of muscle tone as you physically falling. So what does it do? It fires a massive jolt of electricity through your body to catch you. It's a total emergency response that is completely unnecessary. Some researchers actually think it's an evolutionary leftover from when our ancestors slept in trees. A sudden drop in muscle tone while high up would have been genuinely dangerous, right? So the jerk kept them from falling out. Today, obviously, your bed is safely on the ground, but your brain just didn't get the memo.
Now, a physical jolt is annoying, sure. But what if the glitch is auditory? Imagine you're almost asleep, and then an enormous bang goes off inside your head. We aren't talking about a headache or a loud truck driving by outside. We're talking about a massive crash, a gunshot, or a cymbal smash that exists entirely inside your skull, jolting you awake with your heart just pounding.
I know it sounds like science fiction, but it's a real clinical condition called exploding head syndrome. And the truly fascinating thing here is that there is no physical bang at all. Zero. As your brain powers down for sleep, it normally quiets your sensory processing super gradually. But sometimes that process misfires. Instead of a slow, peaceful fade, your stressed auditory neurons discharge all at once. Your auditory cortex is just doing its job perfectly, interpreting neural signals as sound, but it's happening at the absolute wrong time. It literally sounds catastrophic, but I promise it is completely harmless.
Moving on to Section 2, Deep Sleep Disturbances, Unconscious Action. As we push past those initial shutdown misfires, we sink down into the deepest, hardest to arouse stage of slow-wave sleep. Down here, consciousness is entirely offline.
We really need to clear up a massive misconception right now. Night terrors are not nightmares. A nightmare is just a frightening dream that you wake up from and can vividly remember. But a night terror? That is a completely different beast. It's a state of total physiological panic happening in deep sleep, not during a dream stage. The person's eyes might be wide open, they might be screaming, and their heart rate can hit an absolutely astonishing 180 beats per minute. But here is the bizarre reality. They aren't conscious. You literally cannot comfort someone during a night terror because they aren't awake to process that you're even there. And the wildest part? The next morning, it's a complete memory wipe. They remember absolutely nothing about this extreme episode. In that exact same deep sleep stage, we find sleepwalking. This is basically a disorder of arousal where the brain partially activates your motor system but leaves your consciousness firmly turned off. Now, you've probably heard people say sleepwalkers are just acting out their dreams. Total myth. Dream enactment happens in a completely different sleep stage. When someone is sleepwalking, navigating their house, unlocking doors, or incredibly, even driving a car, there is no dream narrative connected to it whatsoever. The brain just randomly started doing things. Oh, and that old rule about never waking a sleepwalker? Also mostly a myth. Waking them up will definitely cause a moment of brief confusion, but it is completely safe and honestly often necessary to keep them from wandering into danger.
But what about when the motor system stays perfectly quiet and the vocal cords start firing instead? Sleep talking actually affects about 66% of us at some point. And the question everybody always wants to know is, can you interrogate a sleep talker and extract their deep, dark secrets? The answer is almost never. Your brain isn't running some secret conscious monologue in there. It's really just producing completely meaningless verbal fragments from partially active networks.
The best way to think about it is this. Your brain just accidentally left its microphone on while it cycles through the stages of sleep.
All right, Section 3, the Dream Realm, REM Overdrive. Eventually, we rise out of that deep, slow-wave sleep and transition into the vivid, intensely emotional world of rapid eye movement, or REM sleep.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've had a few nights of terrible sleep, or maybe you drank pretty heavily over the weekend, and then when you finally get a normal night's rest, your dreams are just completely overwhelming and bizarre. That right there is called REM rebound. Things like alcohol actively suppress REM sleep, so when you finally remove that suppressor, your brain basically goes into absolute overdrive. It aggressively starts collecting its outstanding sleep debt. It dramatically increases the duration and the intensity of your REM sleep just to catch up, which gives you dreams that are stranger, way more emotional, and vastly more memorable.
Now, REM sleep actually comes with a built-in safety mechanism called REM atonia. It paralyzes your muscles so you don't physically jump out of bed and act out those vivid dreams. But what happens if you wake up before that paralysis turns off? You get the dreaded sleep paralysis. You regain consciousness, your eyes open, but your body is completely locked down. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of your brain's logic. Lying there paralyzed, your brain's threat detection system starts to panic. It jumps to the conclusion that something malevolent must be holding you down. So it actively generates a hallucination to explain why you can't move. That terrifying shadow person or incubus in the corner of your room, it's not real. It is just your brain's desperate waking nightmare trying to make sense of a biological glitch.
But hey, not all REM glitches are terrifying. Being conscious inside a dream is the one glitch you actually want to happen. That's lucid dreaming. Around 55% of people experience this at least once in their lives. It's that wild state of being completely aware that you are dreaming while the dream is still going on. And this isn't just some subjective woo-woo feeling, it is scientifically verified. Researchers literally ask lucid dreamers to move their eyes in a specific pre-agreed pattern the moment they realize they were dreaming. Because your eye movements aren't paralyzed during REM, those exact signals showed up on the EEG monitors. The brain was simultaneously in REM sleep and totally self-aware. And the best part? You can totally train yourself to do this using proven techniques like reality testing, wake back to bed, or mild techniques.
Which brings us to our final section. Section 4. Waking up glitchy, the messy transition. Our night comes to an end and we pull our brain back from the dream world into waking reality. But as you can probably guess by now, the brain doesn't just flip a switch cleanly.
Right as you cross that border into waking life, you might experience hallucinations. There are two flavors here. Hypnagogic happens when you're falling asleep, but hypnopompic hallucinations happen right as you wake up. These trigger when your dreaming circuitry hasn't fully shut down before your consciousness turns back on. So dream content, like seeing a giant spider right there on the wall or a figure standing by your bed, literally bleeds into the real world. Why is this so genuinely terrifying? Because your brain's reality-checking systems are still completely offline. For those few seconds, to your brain, that spider is 100% real.
Even if you don't hallucinate, waking up is biologically super sluggish. Your alarm goes off, and for the next 15 to 30 minutes, you just feel completely brain dead. That's sleep inertia. Your cerebral blood flow is still low. Adenosine, which is that specific chemical that makes you feel sleepy, hasn't fully cleared out of your system yet. And crucially, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles complex, rational thought and decision-making, is literally one of the very last regions to boot up. This window of impaired cognition is actually so severe that it has caused pilots who were woken up abruptly to take the controls to literally crash planes.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that ignoring our biological need for proper sleep and proper waking transitions can be fatal. If you try to just push through without sleep, your brain is going to force the issue. After being awake for as little as 17 hours, which, let's be honest, is really just a long day, your brain can start initiating microsleeps. You look perfectly awake, your eyes might even be wide open, but internally, your consciousness simply vanishes for 2 to 30 seconds, and you have absolutely no idea it even happened. You just suddenly find yourself 2 seconds further down the highway with zero memory of the gap. It is a terrifying glitch that is responsible for countless devastating driving accidents.
Ultimately, the brain's power to simulate reality is just unmatched. Sometimes, right in the middle of REM sleep, it runs a simulation of your bedroom and your morning routine so convincingly that you actually believe you've woken up and started your day, only to truly wake up a minute later, still in bed. These false awakenings are so ridiculously realistic that they make you doubt the very fabric of your conscious experience. Which leaves us with one final, kind of unsettling thought to take away from this explainer today. If your sleeping brain is totally capable of perfectly faking the experience of waking up, getting out of bed, and listening to this,
How sure are you that you're fully awake right now?